What is up, guys and girls? It's GhostRobo, and welcome to the very first GhostRobo Army broadcast. I've been wanting to do a podcast for quite a while because I think a podcast allows for you to talk about games in kind of a broader sense, and I can cover more specific instances and kind of offer more of an overall overarching view of them. That it is kind of hard to do when you're doing walkthroughs and playthroughs because you're more concerned with in-the-moment gaming. I'm more concerned with Alma popping out over there. I'm more concerned with, whoever dropping down and taking out this boss. Whereas here I'm able to sit back and kind of relax and just wax lyrically about video games. So this is the very first episode. It's off the cuff right now. I'm just kind of doing this in my basement, and actually the mic stand is sitting on top of a drum set stool right now because I have nothing set up. The plan is to get it a little bit more organized and to have a guest each week, most likely someone from the YouTube community or someone crazy from my life. And again, because this one is kind of off the cuff and kind of random and kind of just happening as it happens, this week our lovely, wonderful guest is my brother Jake. Jake, how's it going?
Oh, I'm excited to be on the podcast.
It's a very vaunted podcast. It's very vaunted. There's lots of we have a long history. Actually, I will tell you quickly that I did do a couple podcasts before YouTube. Probably three and a half years ago. I was really into the One Up Yours show on OneUp.com, and so I read all about podcasts and bought all the equipment and started one. And let me tell you, it was way worse than anything I've done on YouTube so far. I go back and listen to those, and they're not very fun at all. But another thing I think is really cool about podcasts is it gives you kind of a history to look back and say, hey, here were my thoughts on these games. And if you want to go back and say, oh my god, what did I think about Batman Arkham Asylum before Arkham City comes out? I think that's a much better venue to go back and see, okay, what did I think about that? Or, what did I think about a game before it came out? And then you do a podcast, the week after it comes out, and how do your thoughts change? That's something that's kind of hard to capture during a walkthrough because you're just in the moment of everything. So I did do a couple before. This one, I'm taking what I got from that and trying to make it a little bit better. It's going to be a weekly thing here on my channel, and we'll have some cool gameplay for you to watch that you wouldn't get to see normally. I'm not just going to bore you with more, rehash of walkthrough footage. There'll be new footage, stuff that I'm playing without commentary, so you can see some of the stuff that's going on when I'm not recording. Because believe it or not, besides all the videos I put out, I do typically play other games during the week that I'm not recording with. And Jake, I think that's what we're going to start off with here, is talking about the greatest game that we've been playing the last week here that was not recorded, and that is Trench. It's exclusive from Double Fine for Xbox Live Arcade. Why don't you set it up for them and just like what the game is? Because I haven't seen hardly anything on YouTube. I think I've seen 2 or 3 videos that each have under a couple hundred views. So just set it up. What is Trenched?
Well, it's a that was a terrible intro. It's kind of a tower defense game, but you have more control over what's happening because you are in a giant mech suit, and so you can fire from your mech and take out enemies as they come, as well as place turrets all around the battlefield. And you can customize and upgrade your mech, which is called the Trench, and buy new guns, new paint coats of paint if you want to. You can upgrade your turrets so you can place, and so it's just kind of more advanced in that sense. And it's really fun co-op. I haven't played it single player. You played it single player a little bit, but we've been playing it co-op, and it's extremely fun to work together and kind of take out the monovisions together. Yeah, you're fighting this television army, which is it's got Double Fine's whole charm, and I think that it's been established now through Costume Quest and Stacking and now Trench that their kind of humor and their storylines are probably better suited to downloadable games where it can last for 3-4 hours as opposed to be expected to go over 10 or 12. And I think that the best analogy here is that it kind of with Pixel Monsters, that was kind of the best first tower defense game on a console. I know that a lot of people really got into, and that one, for PlayStation Network, is a lot more just planning the towers and running around and micromanaging the different towers that you had. It's as they've grown tower defense, I think a lot has been placed into, okay, let's make your character be able to do something. Let's make you feel like you're an active participant in the game the whole way through, and that's kind of what Trench builds on. To me, what's really interesting is I feel like you can do just as much damage with your towers as you can individually. You have these different trenches, which are, like Jake, you mentioned, these huge mechs, and some mechs you can equip 1 gun, some 6 guns, and customization is what they've really heavily focused on. But what I think is interesting is, regardless of how you customize your guy, and I've played some missions alone and some with you, you really feel like you have a handle on the situation, and to me that's just like a perfect balance. I feel like you can do more damage with your mech almost because you like when we play, you are more of a turret placer where you only have a couple gun slots and then lots of turret slots where I only have 2 turret slots and tons of bigger weapon slots. So I have like an artillery cannon that can take out a whole pack of enemies, whereas turrets can only take out a couple. And so you definitely have more control. You're always doing something. You're never just sitting still.
They do a really good job of just for co-op of giving someone, okay, you're going to be kind of they're called encampments, like the turret placer, and you're going to be the main gunner, and you can kind of build a team that way. And I think had they just been like, you have a mech and you're going to run around and shoot things, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as cool. You read a lot of the reviews and people are like, this multiplayer experience is so good. And I think that is because it's almost squad based in a very, very minute sense that you can have someone who's taking on the role of the engineer mech, where I'm the guy who's laying down all the turrets and kind of functioning as that item disperser, whereas you're the heavy weapons guy, the big tank who goes and lays down the massive damage. And I think that the whole loot system, which they have as well in there, when you kill these TV monsters, which are all pretty crazy, wide varieties. You got sniper guys, you have giant ones, you have little average enemy ones, but the customization with like the
tiny
loot,
rolling balls.
Yeah, tiny rolling balls. The customization with the loot.
Big Bertha.
Yeah, they do a good job with the naming. Back to what I was saying. The customization, the loot, really adds a lot. The thing I find interesting and kind of bothers me, not while I'm playing, but after I play, is I really look and I say, had I not gotten the rosy shotgun or the the whatever machine gun, could I have accomplished the mission just as well? And on a cosmetic level, you can see what these guns do, and you can see the paint jobs and how much that impacts your mech. But within the game, I kind of feel like I'm just mashing the right trigger regardless of what gun I have, and that's where I think this game went from, okay, could we make this a retail title down to a downloadable? Because it's almost as if like the menus of collecting the loot and the menus of adding it and equipping it is more the joy than actually using the weapons themselves.
I don't know. I find myself waiting for that leveling up screen and loot screen where you see what kind of new guns you get, and even if they don't do a whole lot.
But that's exactly what I'm saying. You're the screen. You just perfectly exemplify what I'm saying. You're about to tell me why the new guns are cool, and you told me the screen where you get them. And I think that's great. They do there are so many weapons, and I don't really even understand the loot system. It seems like you pick up 3 boxes and end up with 5 different guns, and there definitely are some that are given to you mission by mission, like you need the sniper turret here, or you need this big heavy grenade launcher. But it's that screen of, oh my god, what did I get? That to me is cooler. And then like the whole shop system where you can sell old guns, and because you get guns either by loot from beating big monsters in the game, or you collect money by how well you do in each level, and you can use that to spend in the shop. That part is great, but then once you get into the battles, I feel like that kind of all dissipates, and you're just like, I'm hitting my left trigger, hitting my right trigger for my guns, I'm placing my turrets, and we're gonna get this done. There's far less of a focus on which gun you have.
I think that, of course, they can't make it where you have to pick the right gun, but there is definitely a huge difference in what each gun does and how you would use that gun, because what I've seen, I have 6 weapon slots, so I kind of mix it up as I play, and sometimes I'll use just all machine guns to do quick damage, and sometimes I'll use, the artillery cannons or grenade launchers where you literally have to change the way you play, and you have to, raise your reticule to shoot farther and kind of lob things, and then switch back down to your machine guns to take out smaller enemies. And I think it does totally matter if you have a lot of different weapon choices to which ones you choose for which levels and how you're going to use them throughout the level, because you just have 2 weapon slots, so of course you're just going to have 2 machine guns.
Maybe I'm playing on semantics here, and the actual act of shooting isn't going to feel that much different. I just would have liked there to be maybe some more unique stuff. Like, I feel like, oh, I got this purple machine gun, sweet, what does it do? Oh, it fires and looks and feels exactly the same way as the other. And I think you have this opportunity with these giant mechs to do something really unique, and they've already made the world crazy. You're fighting giant TVs, and yes, they wanted to make it military focused and kind of this World War theme. Great. To me, it just feels like, okay, the excitement of the loot is within the menus and within the loot getting versus the loot using, and that's sort of where, again, I really feel like this could have been a retail game. I really feel like they could have taken the multiplayer and maybe added like a challenge mode or something, a little bit bigger story. But the menus, you're running around on this freaking aircraft carrier, which is awesome. There's a ton of work that went into the game. It's not just tower defense mission 1, 2, 3. Like, if you think about Pixel Junk Monsters, static map screen, you go one to the other, and that's the entire game. This, you're walking around, you can buy new hats and new outfits for your guy, and sure, that stuff is just kind of tertiary and cosmetic, but I feel like the breakdown is in kind of every level. To me, when I step back and think, feels kind of very samey.
Well, I mean, it have to be some of the same, and I think that maybe you should go back in and we can switch it up where I'll be the encampment guy and you can be the or emplacement guy and you can be the heavy weapons guy, because I feel like you're getting just a very one-angled point of view of the game, whereas I think if we tried more things, there's some categories of weapons that we haven't even tried. Like, I just started using grenade launchers. We haven't ever used the broadcasters, which totally.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Why? Why do I switch? Just for the
fun of it.
For kicks and giggles? Like,
yeah.
Okay. And that's perfectly fine. I just would like to see. Basically, what it boils down to is you are defending a point, and there's guys coming. And early on, it starts with, like, maybe there's 2 spawners, and they kind of attack you from 2 angles. And then you'll have 6 spawners where you have to protect your back, your sides, your front. That's great, but why not throw a mission in where, okay, now we have to take it to the TVs and go and destroy some of their bases. So now that artillery, those grenade launchers, they play a little bit more role because I'm looking to destroy buildings as opposed to just, well, I can sit here with a machine gun, which fires super fast and does low damage, or I can sit here with a grenade launcher, which does higher damage and fires slow, and ultimately, I'm doing the exact same thing.
Well, I mean, they kind of do mix it up a little bit with, like, the bosses, where the bosses are you kind of have to go on the offensive and take out things, but what do you want them to do? Like, have you running through a street or a city? I
guess here maybe what would solve it is if the enemies behaved more differently. I mean, maybe that would require them different strategies. Tower defense, granted, you're going to be doing a lot of the same thing. And again, I'm really nitpicking some fine deals. Overall, I absolutely love this game. It's $15. We bought it twice, you know, so we could play online. I can't recommend it enough. I just would like to see more variety, and I think that's what took it from a retail to a downloadable.
I think. When it comes down to it, it's a tower defense game, so the enemies have to follow a path and act kind of stupidly. But
they've added this system of your mech, and you've got all this loot, so they're setting themselves up for you to expect more. And ultimately,
I think instead of having the game dictate what kind of choices you make, you can make your own choices, and ultimately each choice you probably could complete the missions. Granted, if you use level 1 weapons the entire time, you probably wouldn't be able to complete the later missions, but you can kind of find your own creative way in whichever way you want to take out the creatures. If you want to use more turrets or more heavy artillery guns, then that's your choice. Whereas so they kind of left it more open to the player. Whereas if they had these different things where you have to use these kind of guns for these kind of missions, then it'd be more dictated by the game in each level than what you kind of want to make the experience yourself.
Yeah, and that's fair. And there definitely have been some challenging missions. It's not like we're breezing through or I'm breezing through on the first try. Every time we lose, though, it's not because we have the wrong setup. It's because of maybe wrong execution. I never felt like, oh my god, we really needed to use snipers, when instead we had this, because anytime you need snipers, they give you the sniper turret and say, hey, you should probably use this. And that's a good system for accessibility. Like, they give you can go in your menu and see what is recommended, because there is a lot of different towers, and so knowing which to have and which not to have. Ultimately, though, if I make a line of 5 sniper towers or make a line of 5 machine gun towers, I'm probably going to be okay either way.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe we're just so damn good at the game it doesn't matter.
I'd like to think that, but I don't know. It's definitely fantastic, though, and it's probably my favorite downloadable of the year. I'm surprised it's not in Summer of Arcade. With that coming up, soon, I am curious why, especially with the reputation that Double Fine has kind of built here, with Costume Quest stacking, that they wouldn't have included in something like that. But I definitely think that this one is their largest, I would say, most ambitious. Costume Quest was decently lengthy, but kind of a very basic RPG, and this one's probably their most ambitious, downloadable title. And it comes out fantastically. What would you say is your favorite part, though?
My favorite part? Probably the customization. I know I sound like a stupid infantile Neopets player for changing the color of your tiger or whatever.
No, the customization's great. Like, there's something about you go in there and you can buy this desert hat for your dude, or you can buy a gas mask, and there's something cool about that because your character is always visible. I think that's fantastic. I just wish that there was more of a difference in. Okay, look, my guy has all these purple guns. I should feel totally different than your guy who's stuck with all green, basic loot, and I don't.
Maybe because you've been stuck with the same thing every time. You should change your chassis up so you can get different guys. Because I feel like every time I go in there, I try to get some new weapons, try something different, try a new pair of legs because that gives you a different special ability, a new emplacement which gives you a totally different feel. Because I mean, we'll spend, each level takes 15 minutes, and I'll spend 5 minutes in the store between levels, deciding which guns I'm going to take, looking at the damage and the rate of fire, and trying to decide which, ultimately, like you say, may not have that huge an impact, but it's just fun kind of to, decide, make yourself feel good that you're oh, I'm picking the best things, and, I got this cool gun, it's called the Desert whatever, and it has this special ability, and this, and this.
maybe I didn't make it enough clear, but like again, during the game, like my favorite part is it never feels monotonous, which is something at tower defense, especially with like a pixel junk when you're sitting there and you're like, okay, we gotta wait now for wave 0 through 12 to stroll their way through, and then we'll get to wave 13 where okay, now we have to really start doing stuff.
Yeah.
You play those levels and it's like, dang, how many did we just play? It's after the fact where I'm laying there thinking, okay, what did all those customized guns I just spent all that money and all that time in the menus do for me? Not very much, but actually during the game, like it's a near perfect experience because you'll play the mission and it's hyper intense all the time, and you're really able to set up your defenses in a way where like we really like to set up our towers kind of close to the base, and then we'll go out and kind of be like the we're going to take the battle to them basically, and walk our guys almost all the way up to the spawners, take out as many as we can. And sometimes what I like to do is even follow them from behind, because then they can't get you. Like the little monsters, the monovision TV beasts, they want to go straight for your base. So you get behind them, you can do some serious damage, and they can do nothing to you. So there definitely is a lot of options of how you can tackle it, and I constantly feel like I'm involved in doing something. I mean, really, it's stellar.
I think that's the biggest thing that separates this from any other tower defense is the fact that you're always doing something, because in Pixel Junk Monsters it would get extremely frustrating at times when we would lose a level 3 or 4 times in a row, and then we knew exactly where we were losing at, like wave 15 for example, and then we'd have to go through the first 15 waves, which are really easy, and we just have to sit there and literally do nothing for a while until, okay, now we got to wave 15, we actually have to do something and do some planning. Whereas this, right from the get-go, you're already firing things. And I have to say, share this one experience that was absolutely hilarious. But now it's hilarious, but back then it was terribly frustrating. We were at the end of a level on the final wave, and all of a sudden you get stuck out of nowhere in this mountain, in this cliff, and I'm yelling at you to try to do everything to get out of this thing, because I'm planted, I'm fortified, I'm trying to take out everything with my artillery cannons, and there's just millions and millions of enemies.
You think like these giant mechs, you want them to be able to jump, and you can get these abilities for your legs where you can sprint, or you can like buckle down and fortify and increase your defense, because your mech itself can be destroyed, and then you lose that way. But like, you look at these guys, you're like, this thing should be able to just roll over rocks and cliffs and take care of things. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get these guys, and I run over a cliff edge, and boom, my guy's embedded in the cliff, and I'm like turning and still able to fire, but my mech is like locked into the sand. It's like, no! We're at the very final wave, and that was
the only frustrating experience I've had with the game, though.
Yeah, and if you look at like another tower defense that I've played recently, which is Anomaly Warzone Earth, it's a PC title, and it's also for Mac. I picked it up on Steam. That one has you be active as well. You're kind of setting your pathway, and it's kind of a reverse tower defense. And I think the thing that makes this more enjoyable than that, because you could say, well, you're being active all the time in both, this really plays on kind of that really basic love of like shooting things, which is really simple and not not the most advanced thing, but the shooting feels good. And especially like when you layer on those weapons where you've got your shotgun and your machine gun, and you fire out your machine gun, and while that's reloading, you blast off a few shotgun blasts. That feels really good, and kind of just plays on, okay, there's stuff to shoot, I'm gonna go do that, and it's mindless in a sense, but also that keeps you really engaged, I think, and that's almost opposite mindless keeping you engaged, but there's something about constantly being, okay, I constantly have to be aware and targeting new things that really just keeps your mind at kind of a really fast pace, and you don't really think about, okay, here we go through another wave of tower defense.
And it's not like where you pause and like, what was that iPhone game, like Geo Defense? Is that what it's called?
Yep.
Yeah, where you literally would have to, or you literally could stop time to place towers and things. In Trenched, it does not focus that much on where you should place your towers or how you should place your towers. It's kind of just more, like I said, like open-ended, and you can kind of do things as you go, and just kind of be in the moment, like placing things, and just running around like, oh, what should we do? What should we do? And just place line, upgrade here, shoot this, and just constantly in the moment, kind of quick decisions where it's not like super planned out, like methodical things.
Yeah,
like
the storyline is probably the weakest of the 3 Double Fine downloadables, but the theme is potentially the strongest. So I don't think that there's anything lacking there. We have now been talking about Trench for 20 minutes. So we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, talk Zelda, Ocarina of Time for 3DS, some Sonic Generations, which I know you can't wait for.
Oh yeah, Sonic Generations.
Woo! A little bit of Fear 3 and Shadows Dam. So sit back, relax, and we'll see you in 10. Right, and we are back sweating our freaking eyes out. We're down here in my basement, which is my normal recording setup, and normally, like, I started YouTube back in October, and so it was a perfect place, perfectly fine, and now that it's becoming summer, it is the cesspool for sweat and heat. It is ridiculously hot down here. One of my lamps just burst. We're down to one light and in burning heat. And
We're in the cellar.
it's really
Help
toasty.
us.
One thing we forgot to mention was that Trench is only online co-op in case it looks split screen from the video. Just another thing I think is really cool that I initially was going to do this podcast on iTunes, and I was like, no, let's put it on YouTube, because then we can, the main game we're talking about, I can put up footage from that, and I think that's a really cool way. So when we're talking about Trench and purple weapons and Rosies and
you can watch me dominate
monovisions, you can see exactly what I mean. And yes, that is Jake's footage here that is being recorded. So, what do you want to know about Zelda Ocarina of Time?
You want to know about it? Well, you beat it when you were little, and you loved it. I never played it because I was too little, and so I just want to know: does it feel the same, or because you're not using an N64 controller? Obviously, you're using a 3DS controller. So does it still feel the same?
I beat Zelda Ocarina of Time when it first came out. I was 10 years old, very very tiny, a mini GhostRobo, and I almost bought this game out of
Nostalgia?
No, out of guilt. I have my 3DS, there's nothing for it, and I want a game to play, and
I must play the 3DS.
they're like, new Zelda, and there's that part of you that's a Nintendo person, fanboy, and just, it's nagging at you and pinching you in the butt, go buy this game, and I went and bought it, I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to open this thing and play it. So, I opened it and played with really low expectations. I heard people oh, it's really good, and it's gotten some great reviews, but I figured they're reviewing Ocarina of Time, which I know is a great game. But it translates ridiculously well, and the controls, while the single circle pad nub is not going to work for Call of Duty, or not going to work for, I have no idea how they're going to do Resident Evil like that, it works like a charm here. And the thing that's really cool is that you hear they've updated the visuals, and maybe that's not they updated the visuals, but unless my memory is failing me, the N64 looked like crap, and this game looks really
polygons. They
this
all
game
look like Porygon, the Pokemon.
It looks really good, and the 3D, without the 3D, it looks good, and I feel like the 3D in this game is really where they need to start going with 3D. It's the first real world game that I've played. I have Pilot Wings, I have Ghost Recon, whatever it's called, Ghosts in the 3D or whatever. I have Super Street Fighter 4, and those are all on this 2D plane, and so you're getting kind of these. I mean, Pilot Wings is 3D, but you're getting these kind of more whiz bang 3D effects where it's coming at your face. This is way more subtle. The one I'll give you is at the very beginning of the game, you're in the forest and you're climbing out of your treehouse, because of course Link lives in a tree, and the ladder is you're climbing down the ladder, and so it's this shot of Link, and all you see is his back walking down the ladder. And normally, without 3D or in the old game, it probably looked ridiculous, and you have this big boxy ladder and this little goofy boy with a yellow face climbing down the ladder. But here, the ladder, you can tell it's hanging from the wood, and you can tell behind there's grass and trees in the back. I was so shocked. I thought I was going to hate it. I thought it was going to be okay, it's Ocarina of Time. I could have bought this for $10 on, Virtual Console, or 15 or whatever they're charging, but it really adds a lot, and it almost makes me wonder if they should transition. I mean, we can talk more about Ocarina of Time if you want. I can tell you that I don't remember much about the game. I beat the first couple dungeons. I didn't remember all the puzzles. I didn't remember really anything. I haven't played it since that first time I beat it. But the main thing that it makes me wonder is, should the 3DS focus more on, as kind of dumb as this sounds, resurrecting old experiences, or even creating new versions? Okay, let's be the N64 GameCube machine in a handheld form, and let's create lots of remakes. Let's make lots of sort of new takes. We're going to make, instead of making this Mario 3DS, which, okay, we're going to use the 3D, we're going to use the new Super Mario Bros. Look, because that's what all the people on Wii like, but we're going to take the limitations of the system and the fact that it only has one analog stick and blah, blah, blah. Maybe they say, okay, we're going to really make remakes and sequels to N64 games and some GameCube titles. I think that could go really well, because as soon as I played this for an hour, I was like, okay, now in a month, I want to be able to buy Wind Waker on 3DS.
Yeah, and I think you said before, when I asked about the control stick and how that feels and stuff, the N64 only had, and the GameCube only had one control stick, so I mean that works perfectly and fits right into it. And also, I'm just curious, what do they use the second screen for? Is it just the inventory?
Yeah, I mean,
maps,
the second screen is just all your gear and stuff, which works really well, because then you have your dungeon map on the lower screen.
Right,
you have all your gear.
See what you're doing.
You can always see that, which is nice. They've tried to tie in a couple bit of motion control things, like when you're using the slingshot, you can turn the 3DS to look around. That's horrible. You got the 3D on, your eyes are turning into goop. Yeah, but
Yeah, the 3D hurts my head. I don't know why. I don't play it enough or what. Whenever I try to look at it,
at 100%, Zelda is nauseating. At about 70, it's really cool.
Okay.
And I think that when you look at it, it's like, okay, the 3DS looked really great graphics wise, and I know I got some major hate for this on my E3 thoughts video, but it doesn't compare to Vita in graphics or Vita. And so if you're gonna say that, if you're Nintendo sitting there, if I'm a hardcore gamer and I see, okay, we've got Assassin's Creed on 3DS and we've got Assassin's Creed on Vita, why the heck am I going to buy it on 3DS? If I have both, right? I'm going to buy it on Vita because it looks like the PS3 game. It has 2 analog sticks. They can do more. They can put more characters in. So instead of making games that are whether you want to say gimped or made for the 3DS, let's focus on making games that would excel on the 3DS, and let's focus on making them really, really solid and using the 3D and making it really cool. I don't know that system can do an Assassin's Creed game in 3D with 1 analog stick and make it fun. Unless we're going to get into iPhone game territory where it becomes really cheesy and really gimmicky. Like, Zelda rarely uses the touchscreen. It uses the touchscreen for the menus, and you don't even think twice about it. Like, you feel like, okay, I've got my portable Nintendo system here, and I'm playing a great Nintendo game, and I think maybe that's the direction they should go. And it seems like people have been like, where are the third parties? What games are coming out? And instead, Nintendo's saying, hold on. We've got Star Fox. We've got Kid Icarus. We've got Zelda. We've got Paper Mario. We've got Mario Kart. We've got the new Mario, which I'm not that high on. We've got Luigi's Mansion 2. And so maybe they already are taking my philosophy, which is, hey, we're going to make this a remake and sequel machine to games that had 1 analog stick, that have graphics we can handle, and that were kind of an era where it's not, I'm traveling through Rome with 500 million people and 500 million side quests and options. I don't think it can do that. And I don't think if they try, I think people will be... Here, would you rather have, Jake, would you rather have N64 games that are a 9 out of 10 and feel great on the system? Or would you rather have PS3 and 360 games that feel like a 5 out of 10 and you have to, hold your fingers along the sides of your mouth to try to make yourself smile and enjoy them?
The 9 out of 10 N64 games, because I think it's also far enough away where it doesn't just feel like it's like the same game, because it's kind of been so long since the N64, but it kind of feels like a totally new game. But I also think, like you said, it doesn't have enough to compete with, the Vita or whatever other major games are coming out to be like a contemporary system. But I also think that it has too much to be like an iPhone system where it just is these really stupid little 1-minute games. So I think your idea and what they seem to be doing is definitely the best route, because it's unique and it caters to just the Nintendo audience who would be buying the 3DS anyways. And it kind of just focuses in on one certain thing instead of trying to do, we can do these fun little games that are just touchscreen 3D kind of, like Face Raiders, and we can try to compete with these games, but we have to modify it a little bit. They should just kind of narrow their focus on the true Nintendo games and make those.
And it just makes me a little bit more, content, because you look at E3 and you're like, the big games are Kid Icarus, which is new, give them that, Star Fox, Zelda, Mario, which is new again, Metal Gear Solid 3 DS. And you're like, okay, do I really want to play all these games? But I think that the graphical tweaks, the 3D, and the control scheme, which, for those titles, for Zelda, it feels so good. Like, if you think about the N64 controller where you're using the C buttons to move the camera, you're using, the A and B buttons, you got those, and you got the shoulder buttons where you have to switch things out. Okay, now you have 4 main face buttons, A, B, X, and Y that you can use for weapons, and the camera auto takes care of itself. You can switch that so you take care of the camera, but the default setting, it takes care of itself. You don't have to worry about anything. You turn, it turns with you. It works really good. And I know a lot of people get worried about camera systems like that, but I think that if Zelda's an indicator, the control scheme works phenomenally. And the game itself it's still good. And Zelda almost, I was telling you earlier, we were talking about this before, that Zelda almost is like, it almost feels like it's better, if they can do 3D worlds and graphics, it almost feels like Zelda's better suited to handhelds.
Yeah. I mean, like with Luigi's Mansion 2 coming out, Luigi's Mansion 1 was one of the first games that I played through completion. And if they do these kind of even if it's just like quasi-sequel type things where it's a remake with a new twist, or it is a true sequel, I think that'll make people want to play 3DS more and kind of get it for these unique special games that have some nostalgic feel to them and also bring a new thing to the table, because that's something that I'd be excited to play, whereas I don't really care about playing, Ghost Recon on the 3DS or something like that.
The fear then is it falls into Wii territory trap, which is people buy it and they wait for the 3 Nintendo games released a year, and they don't want anything else, and
just make more Nintendo games.
they've got so much. They've got 1 Zelda, 2 Star Fox, 3 Kid Icarus, 4 Mario, 5 Mario Kart. So they've got 5. We're probably forgetting a couple, but Luigi's Mansion next year. But five big ones this year. Can they keep that pace? Can they put out, hey, every other month we're going to have a big marquee Nintendo title on this system? That's where I think you can start making people be like, okay, I'll buy into this, even if we're not getting the Uncharteds, we're not getting, the Superstars, the Wipeouts, that portable things, Gears of War on a portable system that people would want from a high-tech portable. It's just then, how do you justify it to third parties? Because either you're going to have not enough Nintendo titles and people are going to be like, I don't really want to buy this, or you're going to overload it with Nintendo titles and third parties are going to be like, well, why do we try to put out our junk when we're competing against Ocarina of Time and these storied franchises that everyone's going to buy? So
I don't know if Nintendo could keep that up between the Wii and 3DS, making a new game every other month.
It's interesting. It's just interesting because I was expecting to hate it, and I love it. And Zelda, that is still super fun, and has me excited for Skyward Sword. I'm going to try to get done with it quickly because I know if you play 2 Zeldas too close together, it can be absolute disaster. So I'll try to get through this one quick and move on to Skyward Sword. Now, the moment that I have been waiting for. I want to hear about Sonic Generations. I can't even say it with a straight face because...
You know what I'm going to say, but I played this game for a whopping 1 minute and... or maybe, I think it was 2 minutes and 23 seconds.
And this is the demo. It came out for 360 and PS3 or whatever, but why? It's just that short?
Let me tell you. Yes, it's very short. It's one level from my experience. I turned it off after that, but I absolutely hate this game because... I generally don't like these Sonic type games where you just are mashing a direction left, rarely left if you have to go in a different direction to go down or something, and you're just constantly spinning and spinning and spinning, and maybe you'll hit an enemy or an obstacle and lose some rings, and you're like, oh, big deal, whatever, rings do absolutely nothing, I don't buy anything with them or anything, they're just kind of your extra life source. And so you're just mashing a direction and constantly spinning over and over again. Maybe it'll be like one jump obstacle where you actually have to...
Did you see the 3D stuff, or is this only 2D in the demo?
It was only 2D, but the 3D stuff is almost worse. In past experiences when I've played Sonic games that are 3D, it's been almost a worse experience.
Oh, every Sonic game has been awful lately. I mean, there's some redeeming qualities to some of them, but what I don't get, and the thing that's hard for me to understand is, if I'm Sega sitting there, okay, and pretty much every Sonic game at a certain level has failed, and failed to appease the audience, so... Their strategy is, okay, we're going to give you Sonic the Hedgehog 4. Boom. Green Hill Zone. And then 3 months later or 6 months later or whatever, whoa, Sonic Generations? It's for a new generation. So guess what the demo is? Green Hill Zone.
Yep.
And basically it's like me saying, okay, Jake, would you like Sonic? And you say no. And so I say, would you like Sonic with pants? And you say no. And I say, would you like Sonic if he had a few more polygons? And you say no. And so I say, would you like Sonic if we made it a downloadable title? And you say no. And I say, would you like Sonic if we mixed the 3D and 2D? The two things, you hate the 3D, you kind of want the 2D. I feel like at this point it's a ruined brand, and I don't know why they keep making games.
I definitely think so. I think the last time I enjoyed Sonic was that one Sonic game for the GameCube where they had the Chow Gardens or whatever, and the multiplayer where you could fly around and look for gems.
I think that was from the Dreamcast game, Sonic Adventure 2, and they just remade it for the GameCube. But I think what this might speak to more, Sonic isn't a very good game.
No, it's terrible. It's mashing a direction, constantly spinning.
Sonic for Genesis, I think at the time, because Sega and Nintendo were battling it out hardcore, people were like, "Oh my, I love Sonic."
Okay, it's starting to get really hot.
And
I'm starting to sweat.
I told you. Think how I feel when I'm recording hours and hours of Fear 3 from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning on launch.
Smell too. Woo.
Okay, so back to Sonic, who does smell and is really bad. The game itself just isn't that good of a game. No. They're making these... The best Sonics have been the portable ones. The best Sonics have been the portable ones because that's where you maybe only play for 10 minutes. You're like, okay, that was cool. And they did more with different characters and some power-ups and things. The baseline Sonic game of running through freaking Green Hill Zone 100 times is not good.
Almost every Sonic game they make so repetitive. I remember playing Sonic Rush for the DS.
Those were good. I thought those were good.
I thought it got super repetitive. The first time you play it, there were some cool things, but then you kind of just keep doing the same cool thing over and over again. And if for no other reason, Sega should just stop making it because that hedgehog has got to be puking his guts out. He spins a million times every minute.
I think if you look and say, okay, boil the games down. Mario is about platforming. Sonic is about running left or right with some obstructions that force you to maybe hit the A button once in a while.
And a lot of times there's paths that you can never get to, or you never will get to, or never care to get to. They make these multi-directional paths but you're going so freaking fast through the level that you A, pass them by within a millisecond, B, never care to go back because there's no like collectibles or anything good besides rings, and you just never get to
If
them.
we're playing Mario, like usually like Galaxy or 64 or Sunshine, there's stars for, okay, collect all 100 coins. Why do I care about rings?
Because they keep you alive. And
But
then you can get one and then get
but
back.
But as I'm running, I'm going so fast, I hit spikes and I drop rings.
You collect like 2 and keep going.
You pick 2 back. Why do I care? Why do I care about
You
going to
don't.
the higher path? You don't, right? and I will probably get people who say Sonic is my hero, but
He's not mine.
I mean, I don't think the game is very good. So we're gonna wrap up. No more Sonic Generations discussion at all. The other game I want to talk to you about, which I played a little bit and then other stuff came out, and so it kind of got lost in the shuffle for me, is Infamous 2. And I think Infamous 2 is a game that is so much cooler watching than playing. But I want to know from your experience of playing, how is it going?
I feel like I'm playing Infamous 1 all over again. I don't feel like it's that much different. I think later in the game you might get some different powers, but as of right now, I feel like I'm starting from ground zero in Infamous 1, and I'm getting back some of my same powers, like sticky grenades and, you know, whatever the different force pushes and things like that. And I'm still doing the same things. I'm running through a city. It doesn't look that much different than the previous city. And I'm doing some side missions, and there's some new kind of quirky side things, like defusing bombs to get blast shards, or, you know, stopping the militia from shooting people or something like that. But overall, I think I'm playing the same game. It's still fun. I still enjoy grinding on, you know, telephone poles and, you know, smashing down and throwing lightning bolts at people. But
Okay, how do you feel about Resident Evil monsters in your Infamous 2?
that's weird. I saw that and I was like, what is going on? Like, did this like just like cross?
Like, it takes you totally off guard. Infamous 1 was so like, okay, it's realistic. There's a dude, he gets hit with this like, you know, electromagnetic bomb.
That's definitely realistic.
Okay, but look, like, okay, plausible, sci-fi plausible. It wasn't sci-fi crazy.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm playing this game, seems plausible. Cole obviously turns into, you know, Cole McGrath, and he's got this like southern
Cole
voice,
McGrath.
right? Like, where'd that come
beat you
from?
up.
But it's like going along, and then all of a sudden, you're in this like town square, and there's gigantic Resident Evil monsters with humongous like pincers for hands, and they're chasing you, and then a few minutes later you fight this giant mole beast, electric beast that comes out of the ground. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, well, at first, when I first saw it, like, you were supposed to, like, take out this, like, whatever, like, head of the militia guy, and they showed this, like, kind of, like, beast-ish looking thing off in the distance, like, it was above him, like, he was gonna jump down and attack him or something. And I thought it was like a partner of Cole's, or something, like, another guy who's kind of like Cole, who's gonna take out this guy for you or something, you were, like, partner up with him. And then, like, all of a sudden, you're like, it's like, wait, now you have to take out the militia and these monsters at the exact same time, and so it's like a three-way battle, and you're just like, why did they put these in here? There's no point to it.
I think they're trying to be like, so the, you know, the superheroic nature of Cole is spreading, and so now, because, you know, later on you meet the person who you've seen, the fire girl, Nyx, and so she does this really disgusting, weird tentacle thing where she, like, reaches into the ground, and then they pop up as these, like, black tar tentacles. So, like, okay, so Cole is spreading his disease across the planet or something, and the game does some cool things, like, okay, like, I think the whole thing of the monster coming and getting close is cool, but what really bothers me about Infamous 2 is that when I sit back and watch Infamous 2, or I go back and I'm watching my videos as they're uploading, I think the game looks awesome. And then, like, the act of actually playing the game, of jumping the buildings, it for some reason just it's fun, it just doesn't match it. Like, if I say, whoa, that game looks awesome, as Cole's charging up, like, they make it look so cool, but then in-game, what you're doing, it isn't that cool.
I mean, it feels like a lot of button mashing. To climb, all you do, or all I do, is hold the up direction and just smash X as fast as I possibly can. And the other day you were watching me and you're like, it doesn't help you go any faster. But I'm just like, well, it doesn't matter if I go any faster or slower. And when you're in a battle, I mean, sometimes all I'll do is just do the regular shock over and over and over again, or just use this amp to smash people. And I'll be like, oh wait, I could have used these 3 other powers that I have. But in most situations, you just forget about it because it's like so in the moment, and so you're just like, you can use one attack, kind of like what we were saying about Trench, where you don't really need to do anything else. You can use the same attack over and over again. Granted, like when you're fighting bigger things, sometimes you have to throw cars and things at them. But in the regular everyday battles that you encounter like every 10 seconds, you can just do the same thing over and over again. It kind of feels button mashing.
I guess it's also like how, okay, you know, you play GTA 4 and then you play Red Dead, and even though they're basically the same game with a different skin, like there's enough different about Red Dead to be like, okay, I'll play through this and it seems really cool and kind of more advanced. You play Infamous 2 and you're like, okay, why, what? Like, this could have been made instead of Infamous 1, really. What is there that's like a huge jump? Not much. I mean, it's kind of more dense. There's the city, I think, is cooler. They give you some more powers. And what it really had me thinking about is, what makes me forgive Assassin's Creed when I've played 3 of those in the same time I played 2 Infamouses and Infami. What's the plural infamous? Three Assassin's Creed. 1, 2, and Brotherhood. What justifies those? Because that's another game where you look really awesome, and look really badass, and in the you're doing less. You're just holding the right trigger when you're running up buildings there. And what makes Assassin's Creed more enjoyable to play than Infamous? And I think it almost has to do with the fact that there's stealth, like the fact that you have to be more careful when you're climbing. And Infamous 2, it's kind of just like walls to the wall, let's run and climb, and there's guys shooting you, and you jump down and jump back up, and they're going superhero, they're not going assassin, great, right. But that subconscious thing in the back of your mind, like, I am Ezio, and I'm sneaking through the city, and gonna jump down and hit you in the back of the neck with my double wrist blades, like that changes my mindset totally, and it's amazing how much, if you look, what a character can do to change your mindset. If you put Ezio as a superhero in Rome, I think that game becomes way more dull.
Yeah. But I mean, I think also Infamous can have a lot of frustration factors where I haven't played a lot of Assassin's Creed, but in a little bit I have, it didn't seem as frustrating. But like,
you're way more durable in Assassin's Creed, oddly enough.
There's weird things that just happen, like you're like chasing a limo, and all of a sudden you're supposed to be like running on top of the rooftops, and all of a sudden there's like a big huge gap, and you're like, well, how am I supposed to get across that? And then it's like you're losing him, and then you just die, and you're just like, well, what the hell was I supposed to do?
It's way Infamous is. I mean, there's definitely chases in Assassin's Creed where you can lose the guy, but I feel like Infamous is way more gamey. There's so many things popping on the screen, like, you've completed this side mission, you've gained karma, you've gained this, you've done this, 5 points, 2 points, like, and it's just like, what? And there's some really odd choices as well, like, just little things that don't make sense to me. Like, when you go to power up in the menu, there's no sound when you buy a new power.
That's so weird. Like, I turned on the game today, or the other day, and there was literally no noise. There wasn't people talking. There wasn't any sound effects. I was literally standing there. I was like, wait, is the game off? Is the audio off?
I mentioned that in my walkthrough as well. Like, there's points you just sit there and it's just like, what the heck is going on? and that's not a bad thing. You're trying to create atmosphere, but when I'm powering up, why when I hit the X button to buy a power, it makes like a graphical like electricity, and there's no sound. I don't know. Infamous 2, like, it's a good game. I think both of us would agree that it's 8 out of 10 territory. It just doesn't do anything to really vault itself past that.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, gamey, gimmicky, kind of just feels like there's a couple things. It doesn't feel like it's like complete. Like, it just feels like there's some things that just like are missing, and like it kind of directs you to these little paths, and then but sometimes there's just like gaps in the paths, and it's just, I don't know. It's just kind of, I guess it feels like there's holes in the way the game is played.
We are going to put a hole into this podcast right now by taking one more break. It is boiling hot. We're going to have to go rinse ourselves off or do something quickly here. Not together. Before we get back for the final segment, where I will tell you a little bit more about Fear 3 and Shadow's Dam, kind of my overall thoughts there and where this podcast is going.
It's going down.
No, it's definitely going good. So we will see you on the other side of the break. Thanks for sticking with us. Alright, we are back for the final part, and I don't know what I'm going to do with this. Before, with podcasts, I was pretty structured. Like, this was obviously years ago, but I made them with lots of segments. I think I'm going to keep this more...
They were quite frustrating to be a part of. Just saying. You'd be like, no, you didn't do it right. You talked about the wrong game.
Okay, well, this one is a little bit more freeform. We'll have a fewer number of segments, but I am going to divide out the games at least a little bit. I don't want to sit here and have 1 hour-and-a-half segment, especially if it's going to be 9,000 degrees total million... entire Fahrenheit. Infamous 2, like we were talking in the break, is like disappointing because I was really looking forward to that as kind of my holdover Sony title until Uncharted 3, and we're just like, you're absolutely right. Like it feels like there's gaps. It feels like you're playing this game and it's like, go do this cool thing. Now go do this cool thing.
They should have either given him a different type of power instead of electricity, or had you play like a different character in a different city, like oh, instead of Empire City being destroyed, the town you're in, New Marais, but you are a fire person.
Okay, well I think as well, like in a lot of games they'll take away your stuff, but like you're in a totally different setting. So, example of a game that I really liked, Metroid Other M, that most people hated. They take away all your Samus powers,
right?
But like you're in this new ship, and so gaining them back, like whatever, it's frustrating, but you gain them back. This is the same exact thing. You're in a city, and what much more is there to do with a city except make it look different?
And I mean, there was like the crossover thing where you could like take your old game file and put it in the new game, and I did that, and it gave me nothing new. I mean, I still started with the same crap that you
started with. You get some more XP and some more basic karma, but
we basically are at the same point, and we have the same exact stuff, so it's no different. Like, what was the point?
It's so like housed in side missions. Like your powers are tied to side missions, which is so weird to me. That It's
the
not.
side missions are like terrible.
It's not
so boring.
It's not tied to XP. I mean, it is in a sense tied. You have to buy them with XP, but unlocking powers, a lot of them are tied to side missions, and it's like.
Best story about side missions: you can kill side missions. I jumped down next and hit the guy.
Oh,
and
really?
He just died, and it was just over, and I couldn't do the mission.
I mean, that's cool. There's some cool like good evil stuff, but it's like the most gamey game I have played, and I think it really stands out with LA Noire recently, and with some other stuff like that, where it's like, you know, I don't want to deal with that kind of stuff. Now, 2 games that I'm currently playing and currently doing walkthroughs of are Shadows of the Dam and Fear 3, and both of those are incredibly gamey. The first one I'll touch on is Fear 3, which has been receiving like really bad reviews. I don't think you played Fear 2.
I've never played in the Fear.
Yeah, well, I played Fear 2 and I really liked it, and now I play Fear 3 and I have the same feeling about it, and I don't really see where the difference is, and if you know, Fear...
Does it feel like the same game?
Well, Fear is basically, we're going to make a shooter and have a heavy focus on paranormal. And this one definitely has less paranormal, but, like, okay, let me set this up for you. If I told you you could have Call of Duty level precision in your shooting controls, okay? And we're also going to give you an incredible slow-mo that has really great sound effects and really great bullet trails, which simple as that sounds, adds a lot. And we're going to put you in cool environments. Would you want to play this game?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you that we're going to have some bits that are freaking terrifying, where you're walking through a blown-out supermarket, and there's TVs on everywhere, and it's pitch black except for these TVs, and then you see things out of the corner of your screen running across the TV screens.
That's awesome.
This game sounds great, right? And people are mad that they added more shooting bits when I think the shooting feels great.
Well, maybe the people who played it wanted it to stand out from the other shooters as being a more terrifying game, and so now that they become more shootery, it just blends in more.
I guess, but I just feel like, okay, there are plenty of shooters that review just as well without having the element of horror or the element of unique location. Like, you're fighting in playgrounds, okay? There are some generic ones, but they do a nice job varying up the environments, and...
But maybe that's what I'm saying, like, maybe it's not, if this was the first one, maybe it would get good reviews, but maybe it's a disappointment compared to the other ones, because the other ones stood out more than this one. I don't know, I've never played it.
No, I see what you're saying. That's definitely a point. You know, the Fear army, or whatever, the people that love Fear are probably loving it more for the horror than they are for the shooting. I would have to say that the people playing it are more survival horror people than Call of Duty people, but my thing is, I think Call of Duty people would like it because it offers, to me, what feels like just as good of controls, but with a more unique setting and with some more unique mechanics. Like, the almost stuff is freaky. Like, it's not as pervasive maybe as Fear 2, but I almost feel like when you're on that roller coaster of, I'm going to be shooting guys for 5 minutes straight, and then you enter a building, you're like, okay, where's the next guy? And boom, you're hit with like some scary part. I almost feel like that's more affecting than, here we are in the dark alleyway, and there's ghosts walking through, and for the next 10 minutes, Jake, you're going to be going through an elementary school where the walkers are going to be scratching and bombing and blah and making noise, and the lights are going to flicker. And maybe in 15 minutes you'll enter a mech and do some damage that way. But like here, it's like, okay, I just got done shooting guys for 5 minutes, and I'm walking through this house expecting just to go right through and get to the other side, and all of a sudden, like, my vision gets totally blurry, the lights go out, and there's like, I think that works better. Mm-hmm. So I'm really liking Fear 3. It is a game that for whatever reason, and maybe this is part of the complaint, like, there's something about it that doesn't, it almost feels cheesy. And I don't know if it's the storyline, I don't know if it's the setup. It's almost like the game is, more so than the first two, like, being childish in a way, because, like, you have these two characters, and it is co-op. You have the guy and his brother, and your character doesn't speak. Okay, so there's these cutscenes, and it's your demon dead brother talking, and it almost seems like Saturday morning cartoonish, like Boy and his ghost, like walking through the town, and that kind of counteracts like the serious terror tone of it, because you get these cutscenes and he's like, we're going to get some more blood, and it's just like, okay, dude, go away. And your guy just stands there looking like, you know,
yeah,
like Wolverine. Like, no, he doesn't even make a face, he just like sits there, like, he's like, brother, you're doing great, and you're just like, oh. And I don't know, I don't like that part. But Shadows of the Damned is
nice transition.
Shadows of the Damned is fantastic. Like, this game was my most anticipated of the month. I knew very little about it, and it really lives up to everything that I hoped, and I didn't really hope anything. It lives up to the level of how good of a game I wanted, but it totally throws me for a loop in terms of what it is. Shadows of the Damned, when you look at it, you think Resident Evil in a sort of a hellish world. You know, you got Suda 51, you got Mikami. You're expecting like Resident Evil, but maybe a little bit darker than Resident Evil. And that's not what the game is. The game is like absurd Japanese craziness, and that's where the Suda 51 merger comes with the Mikami, right? The No More Heroes craziness, the Killer 7 craziness. But like it works here because the mechanics are sound. No More Heroes, you play that game and you're like, it's crazy and I don't want to slash guys pressing A over and over again. Here, like, the shooting itself is not that great. I'll give you that. Like, you can move and shoot, sure, but the active shooting feels nowhere near as good as Fear or even Gears of War. You're kind of inaccurate. The guns aren't necessarily the coolest. They do so much visually and so much thematically, though, to make it great. There's babies on doors that eat strawberries and brains. I mean, who doesn't want to play that game?
I watched like 10 minutes at once, and I was just so utterly confused because you have like this like torch that then turns into a gun, and then like you use it, and then it changes colors, and I was just like totally.
I think it's a game that would demo horribly because you watch it.
You see it, and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
You'd watch it and be like, why am I collecting a strawberry? Why do I have a torch that turned into a gun? Why? You play it and know what's going on though, and like there's this huge mechanic of darkness where you have your gun can shoot bullets like it can shoot
a gun,
right? Sure, and it can also shoot light. So you'll get in an area and it'll go all dark, and you'll have to find this goat head on the wall. And when you shoot him, all the light comes back, and it sounds absurd, and it works though.
That's what I like.
It works. Like it's crazy. After I fought this boss, there was not even joking a 5-minute long story about him. I walked in this house after fighting the boss, and there's an open book, and you click on it, and the skeleton, your torch guy Johnson, he narrates the story. And it's this story about this guy who's like couldn't ever eat enough, and he ate harmonicas and people, and then it's
sounds a lot like Japanese folklore. Like when I studied that in school, like there's just crazy like giant walls that just block people or things that chase you. Like,
but the insanity works because the mechanics are cool,
right.
And I'm decently far in the game now, and my fear was, okay, does this get old? Does like all the immature jokes, all the crazy Japanese stuff get tiresome? And so far it hasn't, because they're always introducing new things. There's this gem system where Johnson gets gems on his head, and those unlock new abilities and new guns, and a whole upgrade system where you can put these gems into, okay, I want better rate of fire, I want more, health, whatever. It's really good, and I think it's going to get totally overlooked. I think Fear 3 is going to get overlooked, and this game will get overlooked infinitely more, because how do you show it? I can show you a shooting section that seems normal, but the shooting isn't that great. I can show you an insanity section that's crazy and has you feeding babies brains, but you're going to be like, what the heck am I watching and why do I want this? It's not until you play it that you can really appreciate what's going on, and like little touches too, like the Suda 51 stuff, like he's on his A game here. The load screens are like, it shows the map, so it's a 2D map, and as the game's loading, he's walking to the next location, so it's going through. Like, you're seeing your progress made. And I think that's something that's fantastic in games, when you can see the progress you're making. Like, they reference this dark tower in the game, where you're going to go fight, like, the Hell Lord, and you can see, he, like, sees it in the distance a couple times. That's something Alan Wake did amazingly well, which, like, you're going to have an A to B mission, let me see B all the way and know where I'm going. And this game does that a little bit, and throws in, like, crazy stuff. You're chasing your girlfriend in hell, and she keeps dying over and over again, and your dude it keeps getting freaked out that he is like, is she real? Is she not? Are they tricking me? It's really good. The thing I would say that I'm not liking is the enemy variety. It's kind of these zombies that run at you, and they're not fast enough or threatening enough to really be, something to be like, oh god, these are cool AI enemies, and they're not slow enough to like just sit back and pick off their heads one by one. I mean, you can do that pretty much for one shots, but the enemy variety so far, at least, isn't that great. But I think both those games are absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend both of them, especially because now we're entering the summer doldrums, where we've got nothing really in July and August. I mean, you've got Catherine coming out in July, El Shaddai coming out in July, Call of Juarez, The Cartel in July, and then you have Deus Ex Human Revolution in August. But besides that, Dead Island was supposed to come out in August, but it got bumped back to September 6th, so I don't know really what else there is July or August. We've got Summer of Arcade for July. Are you looking forward to anything this summer at all, game-wise?
Not really.
I'll be finishing up Zelda, finishing up tons of stuff, and probably digging back to take care of some other games. With that, I think we're going to close out here. Do you have any other games or final thoughts?
I do not. I am hot, I am tired, and I am ready to go.
Heat makes you tired. This feels like we're sunbathing.
Thank you, Professor.
It
makes you tired.
Sunbathing in the basement.
Without the sun. It's just
without the sun, with this one lamp that's kind of irritating my vision.
It's like I feel like I'm getting interrogated by you It's like bright light in my face.
I feel like we're playing the 3DS. Like I get hot when playing the 3DS. I could be.
It emits heat.
Warning
label.
No, like
this system emits heat.
Doesn't that happen to you when you're like really focused on a screen? Your body starts to get overheated.
I think you get too intense.
Well, the weird thing with the 3DS is like I have to have my eyes in this like 3DS mode. Like it's so weird because it's subconscious, but it's almost conscious. Where like I'm turning my eyes into this mode where it's like we're gonna focus on these double images that probably are eating my brain away, and make sure that I can see the actual 3D that's happening. But with that, we will wrap this episode of the GhostRobo Army broadcast, the grab, as I would like to call it. We'll wrap that up. We'll grab with our crab hands and wrap this up. Next week, who knows who will be on? We'll probably make it a little bit more structured, but more so keep it the same of just talking about games that we're playing and games that I'm playing and experiences I'm having with stuff I'm not showing you and stuff I am showing you and just giving you more overall thoughts. So, definitely love your feedback, though. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this. Let me know if you like having gameplay behind it or if you just want static images of Jake smiling. We can probably hook that up.
I have a beautiful smile.
You absolutely do. You can probably hook that up as well, but hope you enjoyed watching Trench. Hope you enjoyed listening to us. Have a fantastic day. Stay tuned for lots of good stuff this week. We will have Eleanor wrapping up. Probably gonna do more Alice because you guys have been really loving that, and Fear 3 and Shadow of the Damned. I apologize for the lack of videos this weekend. I've had some crazy stuff going on, but right now that craziness is gonna come to an end. And with that, Jake, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
You're a very nice episode 1 guest. It's very hot. I appreciate you enduring the sweat, but now you'll be very salty. So with that, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until
what is that supposed to mean?
You'll be very salty.
How do you know?
I don't.
You gonna taste me?
I really. Let's do that off air, okay? Until next time, guys. We will see you later.